Antonio took care of both sides of the court. De'Aaron Fox dropped 29, while the defense held the Thunder under 40% shooting. The 117-102 victory was the Spurs' 8th straight and the Thunder's first home loss of the season. So the Thunder are 0-3 against the Spurs, 26-2 against everyone else. That's the first time that a team has had 3 of its first 5 losses in a season coming against a single opponent since the 1966-67.
Picture the NBA's most dominant team, 24-1, defending champs, rolling into December like they own the calendar, the scoreboard, and your hope. Now picture them losing to the same team 3 times in 13 days. 3 different cities, 3 different stages, a 2-point nail-biter, then a 20-point blowout.
Victor. Whoa, Castle! Up and through!
Then a Christmas Day win in their building. If that sounds fake, good. It should, because this sweep wasn't supposed to exist, and it happened anyway. This is the San Antonio Spurs' December 2025 sweep of the Oklahoma City Thunder. And once you understand how it happened, you stop calling it luck. You start calling it a warning. So here's the real question. How do you beat a team that barely loses? And when it does lose, it only loses by 2 or 5 points. How do you beat that team 3 times in a row? Here's the answer. You don't beat Oklahoma City by playing harder for one night. You beat them by taking away the things that make them feel safe. And San Antonio did it. Over and over, with increasing confidence. Let's set the table. Oklahoma City wasn't just winning, they were suffocating. A 24-1 start through 25 games. That's historical territory. That's when announcers whisper about 70 wins like it's normal. And it wasn't just the record, it was the way they did it. They didn't win shootouts. They didn't win because opponents had bad nights. They won because opponents ran out of oxygen. Their defense was the identity. Best defensive rating in the league at 106.6. The next best defense wasn't close. That gap matters. Because a small gap is elite. A big gap is you're playing a different sport. They forced turnovers. They crushed shot quality. They made teams second-guess passes they've thrown for years. And on offense, they had the league's most reliable problem. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, reigning MVP, league-leading scorer at 32.7 a game on 51.9% shooting. That's not volume scoring, that's clean scoring.
SGA down the lane, hammers it home.
He doesn't look rushed. He doesn't look desperate. He looks like he's picking you apart in slow motion. And he had help. Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Hartenstein, depth, length, versatility. So when people said nobody had a blueprint, they were being honest. Before the Spurs, OKC had only 3 losses. By 2, by 2, by 5. So what did San Antonio do? They didn't out-talent OKC, not across the roster. They didn't get one miracle shooting night. They did it repeatedly. They didn't win because OKC was tired. One of the wins was on Christmas in Oklahoma City. This was a plan, then an adjustment, then a statement. Let's walk through the 3 games because the order matters. Game 1, December 13, Las Vegas, NBA Cup semifinal. San Antonio wins 111-109. Close game, 2 points, 1 possession. The kind of game people brush off as single elimination weirdness. And OKC even started hot. First 7 field goals. That part gets forgotten. OKC looked comfortable early. So why did the Spurs win? Because San Antonio didn't panic. They didn't chase OKC's rhythm. They kept pulling OKC into a game OKC hates. A game where every drive feels crowded, where the rim doesn't feel available, where the next pass feels risky.
Their team here early in this game.
Wembanyama goes down, gives it up, Champagnie, 3-ball, corner pocket.
That's the first clue. San Antonio didn't beat OKC with 1 run. They beat them by making everything slightly less clean. And when you do that to a machine, it starts making human mistakes. Game 2, December 23, San Antonio. This is where it stops looking like luck. Spurs win 130-110, 20 points. That's not a bad night. That's a dissection. And the scary part, OKC didn't even shoot badly. They shot 54.1% from the field. So how do you lose by 20 while shooting 54%? You lose because the other team is getting better shots, more comfortable shots, shots that don't cost them anything. San Antonio shot 56.5%. They hit 44.4% from 3. And they did it without one guy carrying everything. Keldon Johnson scores 25. Stephon Castle adds 24. Victor Wembanyama returns with 12 and 5. And if you're OKC, you're thinking, they didn't even need a monster Wemby game. That's when the alarm starts. Game 3, Christmas Day, Oklahoma City. This is the one. Because this wasn't neutral court. This wasn't a tournament. This was your home. And it became your first home loss of the season. Spurs win 117-102. 15 points in your building on Christmas. And the most telling detail, Shea ends with 22 points on 7 of 19 shooting. That's not a rough quarter. That's never finding comfort. So, what happened? This is where everything breaks. San Antonio didn't find one trick. They found a formula. And the formula had two engines. One on defense, one on offense. Victor Wembanyama, the Aaron Fox. And then the glue. Castle, Johnson, Vassell, Barnes. Players who didn't blink. Start with the piece that changes how OKC sees the court. Wembanyama. People talk about blocks like they're the point. They're not. Blocks are the receipt. The point is what happens before the shot. Wembanyama doesn't guard your attempt. He guards your decision. He's 7'6". You think you have a lane, then an arm appears where it shouldn't. And once you feel that, you play different. You hesitate. You pull up early. You throw a pass you didn't want. That's the impact. Psychological. Jalen Williams said it himself. Wembanyama covers mistakes. He disrupts progression. Translation, you don't get flow.
Off the wide action, Wemby pulls the three. Got it! Come on.
And OKC lives on flow. There's a brutal stat here. When Wembanyama's the nearest defender within 6 feet, opponents shoot 50%. When he's not, it jumps to 62.9. That's a cliff. The Spurs allow 7.2 fewer points per 100 possessions with him on the floor. So Shea going 7 for 19 wasn't random. The court was shrinking. Now the other side. Defense alone doesn't sweep OKC. You still have to score. And scoring in OKC is miserable. So San Antonio attacked the one thing disciplined defenders hate. Paint pressure. The Aaron Fox. Fox doesn't ask permission. He puts you in rotation. His speed isn't straight line, it's stop, go, stop again. By the time your feet reset, he's inside. OKC's defense depends on staying connected.
Since it was 12-11, Fox with the cross and the pull-up. Wow. Aaron Fox is on.
Staying on a string. Fox breaks strings. He averaged 21.9 points and 6.3 assists. But that's not the story. The story is help. Once OKC helps, the defense has to choose. Stay home or stop the drive. You can't do both forever. That's why the Spurs got clean looks. Feet set. No panic. That's why they hit 44.4% from 3 in Game 2 and 37.9 in Game 3. That's not a heater. That's shot quality. Meanwhile, OKC hit 25% from 3 in Game 3. One team getting clean looks. One team feeling pressure on every drive. How does that end? Exactly like it did. And San Antonio didn't do it with 2 guys only. 8 Spurs averaged double figures. That matters because OKC's defense is built to erase primary threats. San Antonio didn't give them comfort. Stephon Castle played like a connector. 18.6 points, 7 assists, over 50% shooting. That's awareness. And you felt it in the movement. Quick decisions, no dribbling into traps. Turnovers matter here. You don't beat OKC by giving them transition. Game 2. Spurs 8 turnovers, OKC 13. 5 extra possessions. Game 3. Spurs 12. OKC 7. OKC won that, still lost, which tells you how strong the other edges were. Zoom out. What did the Spurs actually do? They attacked OKC's identity. On defense, they turned the paint into a question. On offense, they turned help into a dilemma. That's why the margins grew. 2, 20, 15. Luck doesn't escalate. Mastery does. So what can teams learn? First, defensive versatility at scale. Wembanyama headlines it, but perimeter defense still matters. If you can't stay in front, you're dead. Second, paint pressure breaks discipline. Fox forced collapses. Collapses creates mistakes. Third, distributed scoring keeps defenses honest. 5 threats create seams. Fourth, shot selection. You either hit threes or refuse bad ones. Fifth, possession security. No freebies. Now, OKC's response matters. Shea said it plainly. You don't lose 3 times unless they're better. So we have to be better. That's respect. And OKC was still great. They still went 68-14. They still won the championship. This didn't expose fraud, it exposed discomfort. And discomfort is everything in the playoffs. Because the playoffs aren't about averages. They're about your worst matchup showing up repeatedly. So what did the sweep reveal? It revealed OKC can get stuck hunting threes when rhythm breaks. It revealed their discipline can be stressed by paint pressure. It revealed San Antonio isn't waiting anymore. They're creating problems. Ask yourself this: what happens when the Spurs group gets more reps, better spacing, sharper execution? Because if they can do this now, what does April look like? And here's the part contenders should notice. San Antonio didn't win by playing weird. They played clean. No gimmicks, no chaos. They found pressure points, then pressed harder. And OKC felt something unfamiliar. That feeling where the game moves, but you don't control it. So yes, this sweep is a headline, but it's also a blueprint. Shrink the paint, force decisions, attack the rim, create rotations, protect the ball, hit clean threes. And above all, make the dominant team feel rushed. Because when a machine feels rushed, it starts looking human. So here's the final question. Was this a fluke or was it the league's first real look at what San Antonio is becoming? Because if you're OKC, you learn and move on. But if you're everyone else, you don't laugh. You take notes.